Hey yo, this one goes out to all the ladies, all the guys. Love having the sessions. Myself, special MC, Jay Harvey, Handle on Productions. It's gonna be a banquet, it's gonna be a party. Yo, bring it home to the massive. It's all about the sessions right about now.
Sessions.
And you're supporting the Jacksons, and we're like, you're having a laugh. What do you mean supporting the Jacksons?
You said you had a girl with problems. Remix.
And I was Act 1. I went, well, listen, I'll call you Ozzy until you get my name right. How about that? Because of social media, there are people out there with zero talent, and they are famous. After every bit of what I've done since I did it. My dad got me into it, and God bless my dad. He passed away in December. He actually bought me a lot of this studio setup and stuff, and he was the manager of the band.
Well, hello there and welcome to Talking Life episode 7 with myself, Jake Murphy from Jake Murphy Media, and of course today's guest, Jay Harvey. And of course this is sponsored by the Bespoke Recruitment Construction Logistics Division. Now a little bit of a change of plan, Jay. As we discussed off camera, we was going to talk about everything today, of every avenue. It was going to be music, fitness and football. But because we're restricted to time-wise, today's going to be the music episode, and we're going to come back in a few weeks with you guys and talk about Jay's involvement within football and fitness. So first of all, I guess the real question is that how are you coping throughout this lockdown?
Do you know what? Not too bad. I mean, the lockdown 1.0, it was all kind of a novelty thing, I think, for everybody. And we kind of tried to learn quickly how to adapt with it, tried to enjoy it. The weather was nice, wasn't it? So we could enjoy ourselves in the garden and stuff. But I feel like as it's gone on into this next lockdown, kind of where we are now, we had the mini one in November. But in this current one, I feel like everybody seems to have just kind of dipped now. Everyone's just had enough, do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's a bit like that. But I'm trying to stay as busy as I can, you know, like be active and work as much as I can to keep my mind focused, but not too bad, to be fair.
Yeah, and obviously the work you work in we'll talk about in the next episode, because that obviously falls under the fitness side of things. Now, behind you I can see all your music stuff. I don't know the technical names to it because I'm not a music guy, but
yeah,
has that been helping you cope throughout the lockdown, just doing mixes here and there and just basically give yourself a break from stuff?
Yeah, it has, you know, because I was so busy with my gym work and my fitness work and stuff like that, that I kind of lost track a bit the last couple of years with my music. But obviously being in lockdown, I'm sitting indoors and I'm lucky enough to have kind of built up quite a collection of kit over the years, and I've got a home studio, so I'm quite lucky. I'll give you a little look around. So like, I've got all this stuff, and then my mic and my decks and stuff like that. So I'm quite lucky I can work, you know, I can be creative, and I can record vocals from home. And I've started getting back on that and doing quite a bit recently. So I'm working with a few people at the moment. So it's quite good, and I'm getting my buzz again for it.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, you look like you've got a better setup than me. Maybe if Boris's announcement goes well on Monday, we'll actually do the podcast from yours. And I think the next podcast from yours. But what I want to do is I want to take you back. There's plenty of music stories that we're going to struggle to put into this time anyway. But I'm going to take you back. There's a little amalgamation of your days within the garage scene. So this video should play for you guys now. So just have a look at this, and it's a compilation of just a couple of the songs that you've done, Jay.
Go for it.
Hey yo, this one goes out to all the ladies, all the guys. Love having the sessions. Myself, special MC, Jay Harvey, Handle on Productions. It's gonna be a banquet, it's gonna be a party. Yo, bring it home to the massive. It's all about the sessions right about now.
Sessions. Baby, lay back. I wanna take my time on you. Candle when I met you in that club back then. Those were the days. It was all just fun and games, but how quickly do things change now? You want to be my lady, but I'm not sure if I want that. You want all my commitment, but I'ma make you wait. I'm gonna play the game. Oh, oh. You could be the one, you could be the one who opens up my heart. Whatever's on my mind, my hopes and dreams are faded into the night.
Well, apologies about the end of that. You saw a little bit of a clip of my screen recording. I might be able to cut that out, so you guys may have not seen it. But so does that bring back some good memories? I saw you little thing towards the end one there, but kind of talk to us about that.
Yeah, I've got stories about all of them ones. Oh my god. Yeah, the last one that came on there, obviously not a garage tune. I worked with a guy called Ian Levine, and he does a lot of. He's really well known in kind of the Northern Soul sort of scene, and he's done that for years. And he used to get me in to do session singing for him because he was recreating albums and stuff like that. And basically, I just get paid to come in there and sing his songs for him. And I did loads. And then there was a couple of them that he'd done, and he had like a green screen at his house, and he was like, "Oh, the song's this and that. You know, can you come in and do a video for me?" I do it on the green screen, just wear whatever. I just bring some outfits and whatever, and I was like, all right, cool. So I just turned up one day with like a suitcase full of clothes, went through loads of songs, and then he created like the worst videos you've ever seen for the songs, yeah. And just matched like all the different outfits. Instead of just picking one or two outfits, he just used everything and just put it in. And I was like, my God, man, it's like an advert for TK Maxx. But that was the Northern Soul stuff. But yeah, so right, there's actually a couple of good songs for that genre, but they weren't songs that I wrote or anything else. I was singing it for him. The second track on the video was something I did with Scott Garcia. I think that's about 10 years old. And during the time when garage was it was changing a lot. The scene wasn't really popping, and people were trying to find a new way for garage to become garage again. There was a period when people were talking about a genre and they was calling it future garage. And that sound there was something that Scott came up with along the lines of what they were going to be called future garage. So that's why it doesn't really sound like traditional kind of what you would know in the clubs, you know. So yeah, we come up with that. That actually features DT. DT's on that one. So yeah, we did that one. Did the video all around Tower Bridge. Actually end up on some rooftop thing over near Embankment. And then the first one was Sessions, and Sessions is probably what I'm most well known for. I did that in 2000 and I can't remember if it's 6 or 7 now. But
2006.
6, wasn't it? Yeah, okay. So yeah, 2006. The story of Sessions is quite good actually. Like my music stuff started when I was a kid. So years we can be here all day long. But yeah, the garage thing was from kind of the late 90s, and I was just kind of finding my way, you know, like all my friends were MCs and stuff like that, but I wasn't really an MC, but I could sing. So then I would sing and randomly turn up at events and stuff and jump on a mic, and my mates would be like, you know, jump on a mic, sing this, do that, and I would freestyle vocals and stuff in clubs and bars and whatnot on garage sets. So then I started recording things and I went from there. Then I ended up in a boy band. So for 4 years, from the end of 99 till 2004, I was in a boy band called Foreplay. We toured the whole country. We were so busy. Like that's a story in itself, that one. And then eventually it panned out and we all went our separate ways. And then I went back to the garage thing. So from 2004. And then for a couple of years, I was just working with people and trying to come up with a track and stuff, trying to get on the radio. And I had a few songs that I thought really should have gone. And there was stuff I did with a guy called Golden Child. And we released, the late end of 2004, released 2 vinyls. One was called Love Again, and one was called What Do You Want to Do? And they was on Chocolate Factory Recordings, came out on the vinyls. They did pretty well. And then, but none of them kind of blew up. And then it wasn't until the summer 2006, I was actually with a mate of mine, Paco, who is a producer. He used to be an MC in the jungle scene, like back in the day. He was really well known, but he got into more in production and stuff. And we were sitting in the Weatherspoons garden. It was in August. That's right, it was in August. And we just had a drink, and he's like, "Oh, this is such a lovely day for garage, you know, when the sun's out and blah blah." And we said, "Oh, let's go and make a tune." And I had like the setup at home. It wasn't quite as what I've got now, but it was enough. And I was like, yeah. So we left there, saw one of my other mates, and he was like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to my house. We're going to make a tune." He was like, "I'm coming along." So we ended up going back to mine, sat down, turned the computer on, and while we were just sitting there, we had all cans of beer and stuff like that. Paco started warming up his fingers, and he just went ding 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 ding. And I was like, "What was that?" He was like, "I don't know. What was it?" So then he carried on playing and stuff. I was like, no, it was, and I was humming it, and he was going, "Was it this?" And he was playing, and then we come up with it, and I said, yeah, just record that, and then just build some drums to it. So we did it at, I remember it was a 136 BPM, so the tempo was 136, and he built that, and by the time he had started building a drum pattern underneath it, I'd written a chorus and stuff, and then it took us about 2.5 hours, and sessions was done, and that was on a Saturday afternoon. So it was in my house drinking cans of Stella, and then came up with this sexy sunshine kind of song. You know, that was the idea behind it. And then it was done, and I phoned Special MC, and I said to him, "Mate, where are you?" And he said, "Oh, I've just got back from Iron Apple, like on the Friday." He said, "My voice is gone, you know, I'm not in a good way." And I was like, "Listen, I got this tune," played it to him on the phone. He was like, "Yeah, I'll have some of that, but I need a day's rest." So he came over on the Sunday, recorded his verse, we mixed it, and then I sent it to DJ Pyro, who was on True FM. That same night, sent him a file. So, "What do you think it is?" And he was like, "Man, that's a banger. I'll play that tomorrow." So Monday morning, it's on the breakfast show on True FM. So it was literally as quick as that. Recorded it, produced it Saturday, finished it Sunday, radio Monday. And then it just went mad that week. Oh my God, I just said, because I was on MySpace then, my MySpace blew up. Thousands of people on there. True FM was powerful then. That's when pirate radio was kind of, you know, it was still a thing on the FM. So you had like the likes of Sub Jam, and you still got Rinse and all the big stations, everyone's still doing their thing. But in East London, True FM was probably the big one at the time. And it went mad. Everybody wanted the song. And then that was it.
We're going to come back to you being in a band before we finish. But what I just want to speak to you about there is because I can kind of resonate with what you've said. So you've done, within a couple of hours, having a few beers, you've made a really good song, which has happened to be your best song. But then I've done similar things with podcasts or interviews. Slapdash, and it's got a really good reception. And then I've also spent absolute hours and hours and days and weeks on something.
Yeah.
And it's literally gone.
Yeah.
Have you kind of had the same with your music?
Oh, massively. I've actually recorded a vocal this morning. So I'm working, funny enough, with Scott Garcia at the moment on a track. And a couple of days ago, I spent hours trying to think of a vocal. This is a really quick, kind of short one, and just couldn't come up with it. And this morning, I just freestyled 3 takes, and it just clicked. Just 3 takes, and that was it. And I've sent that over to him now, and he's working on it literally while we're doing this. He's gone to him today. So, but I mean, that's a quick one. But yeah, there's been tracks I've worked on for absolutely ages. Done everything, and it just you think it's going to be the one, and it's not. And as you say, it's the organic ones. One when you're just in a vibe, and you just kind of, you're not really worried too much. Don't overthink it. It just happens. They're the best ones.
Well, I'm sure by the time we do our next episode, we may be able to get a little sneak peek of the new track you're working on. So we're going to talk about some facts about you, because obviously you've been in the MC, and we're going to go back onto like MCN and garage and stuff like that. But a couple of little facts which people may not know about you is in the 2014, you supported the Jacksons. So I can imagine that was quite a very mad experience.
Mate, that was unreal. I couldn't believe how that came around. I was working at the time with a guy called Billy. He was known as Black Rain. He was a rapper. And he asked me to feature on a song with him. So I did like a hook, and it was on one of his he was doing like an album, whatever. So I did that. And off the back of that, people was like, "You two got really good chemistry. Why didn't you work on more music?" So we did. And then before we knew it, we was in like a little duo type thing called GTF. And then we had a manager, and then we was on tour. And then one day he comes to us, he's going, boys, we've got this show. You need to have 6 songs ready, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be up north. It's up near Newcastle somewhere. And you're supporting the Jacksons. And we was like, you're having a laugh. What do you mean supporting the Jacksons? He was like, yeah. And Kenny Thomas. So you need to get your set ready. It needs to be tight, blah, 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 blah. And then literally like a week later, there we were up there, this massive event, backstage, met the Jacksons, and then on we go, open the show. It's like it was really surreal. And then we stayed obviously for the whole performance and watched them. So, and I'm a massive Jacksons fan, and Michael Jackson, obviously, like that's my era of music. As a kid, he was my favorite artist. There's we could talk about Michael Jackson for 100 years, but yeah, so it was really surreal, but amazing, great experience.
And how did that kind of compare from being on stage with the Jacksons, maybe a little bit out of your comfort zone in terms of the music that you do, to a video that I found, which I couldn't play because it looked like it was filmed on a potato, 2004, 2006, you actually performed at the Harlow Town Stadium. So what's the comparison? Yeah. Is there a bigger buzz? Or do you get the same buzz and the same kind of nerves no matter where you're performing with the Jacksons or at the Harlow Town Stadium?
Yeah, it's weird because the type of music that you're doing, I always sit and get this little anxious feeling like, oh my God, are they going to like the music? And I'm never really worried about how I'm going to perform because I know I'm confident in myself when it comes to performance. But you do always have that little bit of doubt, especially on a show like the Jacksons. You're going to turn up and you're going to do kind of a commercially hip hop sort of vibe, and you're thinking these people are here to see the Jacksons. They know what they're here for, and they're going to have us chucked in front of them. So yeah, it's weird. I did one in 2000 might have been 2002, and we did Party in the Park in Middlesbrough. It was known as Tea in the Park. And we went up there and everybody was on the show. Daniel Bedingfield, Atomic Kitten, it was all the big artists back then, they was all booked. And we was backstage and we were supposed to be like third on, and Atomic Kitten was supposed to be opening the show. And while we were there, a guy comes knocking on the door and he's like, boys, listen, Atomic Kitten are running late. Do you want to open the show? I was like, and the others are like, no, we don't want to do that. And I was like, yeah, you're mad. Like, we're completely unknown. If we go on first, everyone's going to say, who's the guys who came on first? They're going to remember the first performance. And I'm thinking, this is an opportunity. So I was like, yeah, no, to convince the others. But eventually everyone's like, yeah, come on, let's just do it. And we walked to the side of the stage. Now, those Tea in the Park, Party in the Park events were huge. There was like, I don't know, I think it was like 35,000 people at that event. The crowd was massive. And then, the guy introduced us, gave me the mic, and I remember walking up to the stage and then just seeing these people and then seeing their faces, probably thinking, who the fuck is that? who are these boys? And I just went, what's up near Middlesbrough? And I just remember the noise. It's like, it started from the front and it just got louder and louder and louder, and I was just all screaming and stuff. And then we performed, and then at the end of it, we walked off and was like, that was a buzz. And that was the first time that I think I personally wasn't nervous. I was excited for that performance because it was kind of a pop event, and I knew we had pop music, and it was four blokes walking on the stage in front of a majority female crowd. It was always going to be all right. But it was good. It was good. But I didn't get nervous at all for that one. But some of the smaller events are worse.
Is that because they're more intimate and there's more chances of hearing people go boo, get off, and stuff like that?
Yeah. There's definitely more chance, and people are close to you. They're really watching what you're doing. But I mean, the worst thing is doing an audition. Auditions are horrible. I hate auditions.
Now we're going to come on to your auditions in a bit, but a quick question, just maybe the viewers may not be too interested in this question, but it's just really one for me kind of thing. You obviously was in your garage scene. You look back into that late 90s, early 2000s, and there seems to be a lot more people doing garage than there is now. But now you look at people, and I'm obviously not talking about big names like Stormzy, but obviously he's come up through the ranks. But everyone seems to be doing rap music. Do you feel that kind of vibe back then when everyone was doing garage and people were doing garage here and there has kind of transcended into rap these days in terms of the accessibility and the levels of people doing it?
I just feel like with rap at the moment, especially with like UK hip hop and rap and grime, and more recently with like drill stuff, I think young kids out there now, they're seeing the type of artists that are coming through, like you said, like the likes of Stormzy, and I mean the list of guys who have made it now is endless, and the talent is brilliant. But they're seeing it that these guys are making it, and they're thinking, do you know what? There's an opportunity. Like I love to rap. I feel like I'm good at what I do, and they're looking at it and thinking, if they've done it, I can do it. So I think you're just getting more people believing in themselves and just going for it, because people love music, and there's a lot of talent out there, and the music industry now is different. You don't really need a massive label anymore. You did back in the day. You needed those big labels. They controlled absolutely everything, and I'm not saying they don't still, but these days you can release music off your own back and build a career from it. You don't have to be in the top 10 of the pop charts. Do you know what I mean? So there's just more opportunity, I think, now, and more kids are just going for it, and good luck to them.
And you just mentioned auditions, so let's bring this bit forward a little bit before we go in talking about band days. Now, there's been a couple of auditions. There's been one on The Voice and then one on the X Factor, which we couldn't find because of something to do with Sharon Osborne. So we're going to speak about that after. But first of all, let's watch your Voice audition from 2020.
Bubbling from the left, yes, we're bubbling from the right. We're in trouble. This is how we do. We're in trouble. We're in trouble. I feel fantastic, bombastic, ecstatic, clear sound. Our girl can really lose her brain. I feel so radical, bounded, emotionally dumbfounded. To think you really want it, okay? Oh, yeah. You said you had a girl with problems, really mixed. And then you wake up with tears, not knowing where you are. Did you get it in the end like I did, like I did? I hate to say the way the finger points at me. I'm at fault, I don't think so. All is said and done, you know you had your fun. Why don't you leave it there? I feel fantastic, bombastic, ecstatic, be yourself. How a girl can really lose her brain. I feel so radical, emotionally dumbfounded. To think you really want your game. Oh yeah, bubbling from the left, yes we're bubbling from the right. Jay Harvey, I'm on The Voice and all night.
So funny enough, I actually said to my mum, I'm interviewing this guy, have you heard of his music? And obviously mum said she didn't really listen to garage back in the day, so I showed her the voice clip. She was like, oh, I remember that. You can see Ollie Murs at the end, like almost squirming that he's not pressed the button. So first of all, I can imagine the answer. How did it feel for him not to turn around? And what was the process to get to that stage? Because there are auditions prior to getting on the TV, aren't there?
Yeah, it takes months to get to that. With The Voice, you don't see all that process. With the X Factor, you see the process. Well, a lot of the process. But The Voice, you literally just see blind auditions. So you don't see that there's thousands and thousands of people who are applying, and they whittle it down to just under 100 kind of finalists, shall we say, for the blind auditions. So it does take months. It's lots of auditions. And then you have to do like kind of interviews with psychologists, with their media people and their press people and all this sort of stuff. And then make sure that you're kind of mentally all right with what could possibly happen after being on a TV. Because you can get a bad backlash, or you can get really boosted up and you can be famous in a second. You know, like you do one audition, everybody loves you, and suddenly, like, you know, for some people, their life can change overnight. Obviously, that weren't the case for me. But yeah, it's a long process to get there. It is. And it was weird because I actually never picked that song. It wasn't a song that I chose to do for that blind audition. I wanted to sing Tennessee Whiskey or When a Man Loves a Woman, but the Michael Bolton version. So I wanted to do something that all the coaches would know, because I knew that song was going to be too obscure. And I told them at the time, only Ollie Murs was going to know the song, being a garage boy, and he's from like Essex and whatever, and he knows a bit of garage, and he's the right sort of age group. But they was like, no one's ever done it before. We think, you should do it. No one's ever auditioned on any talent show on TV, like a garage track before. It's never been done. And they took me into it, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll stand out. So I went with it, and then I went into London to do kind of the band rehearsals. And when the band played it, I was blown away, like how they were so tight, man. When you play with a real band, I mean, especially these guys and these TV shows, they don't mess around. They're unbelievable. And I was like, yeah, this actually sounds all right, considering it's a garage track and it's going to be on a, potentially I might get shown on the TV, because there's no guarantee that you even get shown. So yeah, I rolled with it, and I went up to Manchester, stayed in a hotel, and it's like, right, we're going to call you down, let you know what time you're going to get called in, whatever. Got picked up 7 a.m, taken down, and they give you a bit of breakfast, do your makeup, give you your clothes and stuff. And then we've walked into this bit to drop our coats and things off, and there was this guy, I can't remember his name now, but he walked in with me, and we went into this room to drop off our bags and coats. And on the side, there was a list of paper, A4 paper, and on the top it said Act 1 Jay Harvey. And he was like, bruv, you're first on. And I was like, what are you talking about? What? And I looked, and I was like, oh my God. And then one of the girls runs in wearing a little clipboard and headphones, and she goes, you're not supposed to see that. And then she ran off with this stack of paper. And he was like, you're first. And I was like, oh, no way, that can't be that. And he said, it said Act 1 Jay Harvey. I was like, there was 96 singers left at that point, and they hadn't done any filming for the show. It was just all the auditions. So this is the first day of filming the blinds, and I was Act 1. So then there's a producer there. His name's Mo, and I said to him, Mo, am I first on? What's going on? He was like, well, no. Well, they've not decided yet. I said, of course they've decided. You've known this for weeks. What are you lying for? And then he pulled me to one side, and he was like, look, you're first on. You're opening the show. You're the first singer of the 2020 series, And I was like, really? I said, and I'm doing garage. I love garage, but for this sort of talent show, this is probably not the right thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. He was like, no, you're going to stand out from everybody. You're going to be different, And I was like, but they've not heard any other singers. I'm not going to be different. I'm going to be totally unexpected and whatever. So I see if you're going to go really well, or they're going to be like, oh well. They might have preferred like Whitney Houston type singer, to kick the show off. So then I was nervous. And I was sitting there for hours waiting to go on stage, and I was thinking, shit. Yeah,
I can imagine. Do you think, for obviously, I don't know exactly how the voice works, and it works a little bit like it with X Factor. So we'll come on to the X Factor. But do you feel whether if you was, I don't know, 20th or 30th, you would have got a better chance? But where you was first, they can all the judges can only pick a certain amount of people per show.
Oh, definitely, 100%. I 100% believe that, 100%, because they can have 10 people each in each group, So they got 100 singers. They're not going to pick number one unless number one comes out and sounds like, I don't know, best singer I've ever heard. The show's notorious for the first singer not getting through.
And my friend's actually been on X Factor and Britain's Got Talent, not actually made the TV. Now, he'll say himself, he's not the world's best singer, but he's not the world's worst. He's probably that happy medium that you'd like listening to. But I guess with X Factor, I guess with X Factor to get through, and it was certainly the point at the time, is you either had to be absolutely excellent or absolute dog awful to get on the show for entertainment purposes. Now, however, you on the very first series of X Factor, you went down to the list of 40, but Sharon Osborne had other ideas. So let's just walk through that moment.
Right, this I actually do laugh at this, to be fair. So series 1, the X Factor, I don't know how many people applied for that show, but I remember that time they was really bigging it up. It came after Pop Idol. So I never applied for any of those shows, but the first series of X Factor. I was like, do you know, I'm going to go for this one. I'm going to give this a go. So anyway, yeah, I got to the, I was in the under 30s, under 35 category. I can't remember how they did it now. And I was into the last 40, and it was one stop before judges' houses, before they picked who was going to go to judges' houses. And it was announced that, obviously I got through to that, and Sharon Osborne was going to be that judge for that category. And we was at the Hackney Empire. And I was rehearsing with the pianist and stuff, and I was singing, I had to sing, what did I sing? They give us a list. Isn't She Lovely, Stevie Wonder. That's what I had to sing with a pianist. So just me and him on the stage, you know, like everybody had to do their thing. And we were sitting in kind of the auditorium, all 40 people, contestants there, and she's calling people's names out one by one, and she's going, this person, that person, you know, blah, blah, and James is next. So obviously I didn't get up. I'm just sitting there like, and she's going, James? So I'm looking around, I'm thinking like, who's James? Yeah. And then one of the kind of the producer on the side goes, oh, it's you. And I was like, oh, sorry, like, it's not my name, love, so I'm not going to respond. Like, I'm thinking it's someone else. So I stood up, walked up to the stage, got onto the mic, and I can't remember what she said. She said something, and I was like, oh yes. I said, like, really sorry. I said, I didn't respond. I said, like, my name's not James. That's why I wasn't like answering. And she just went, she was rude for no reason. She was like, I'll call you whatever I want, young man. I went,
oh wow.
What do you mean? You call me whatever you want? She went, you heard? Like that. I went, well, listen, I'll call you Ozzy until you get my name right. How about that? This literally, because I've got a bit of a hot head at times, like, you know, like most people have. I said, I'll call you Ozzy until you get my name right. How about that? And she was like, excuse me? I went, well, you're just telling me you're going to call me James or call me the wrong name. Call me whatever you want. I'll call you whatever I want. And then, and then there was kind of this little thing going back and forth, and I think I just kissed my teeth and told her to shut up. And in the end, on the mic, something along like that, whatever it was. And then in my mind, I was like, I can't believe what's just happened, just like that. But I don't like being spoken to like that, especially not getting mugged off on camera. You know, it's all being filmed, and I'm not having this on national TV, getting mugged off by her. No chance. So anyway, she just went, oh, just sing like that. Exactly like that. I was like, mate. And then in my mind, I thought, I need to smash this now. This needs to be really good, because otherwise I'm definitely out. And if I'm going to go out and this is going to be shown on the TV, people need to know, do you know what? Actually, he was really good, whatever, you know. So, and I did a really good job of it. I was really confident in the vocal, and I thought, do you know what? If that gets shown on TV, I don't care now. That's fine. If anything, you know, it probably make me more famous because I had Barney with Sharon Osborne on the telly. But so I did my thing there, went and sat down again, and then I sat down in the seat where I was, and there was a guy next to me, and he went, you know you ain't going through, didn't you? I was like, yeah, that's me done. That's it. And then what was funny was at the end, because there was the 40 left, she was calling up, I'm sorry, dog's barking downstairs. She was calling people up in groups of 5 to let them know whether they got through or not. So she calls up the first group of 5 to this next stage thing, because they was halving it down. And then she's gone, yeah, you're through. And I was all like, yeah, lovely jubbly. She calls up the next 5 people. And she's gone, oh, yeah, you're through. And I was like, yeah. And everyone's like, the next lot are not going through. She calls up these 3 girls, whatever, groups of 4, 3 girls. And then she goes, James. Like that. So I just sat there and I thought, she goes, James. Looking around, I'm thinking, I ain't responding. I'm not having this. I know what's coming. And she went, Jay. I went, oh, me. Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Walk up to the stage. But now these 3 girls on the stage who are waiting, they've seen what's happened earlier. They know they're out if they're in my category. If in the little group, they know they're gone. So they're looking at me as if to say, oh, man. Not that it was my fault they're going out, but they knew that, yeah. And she took great pleasure in saying, unfortunately, this is the end of the road. You know, like one of them ones. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, great, whatever. Thanks very much. See you later. And then, yeah. I only lived in Bow and I was in Hackney, so it was cool. I just phoned my dad and said, yeah, come pick me up, Dad. Like, I'm out of here.
So obviously, I know you are pressed for time, and that's why we're going to do the fitness and the football side of what you do in an episode coming up within the next few weeks. But before you do go, let's just talk about your time in your band and what the differences are between being in a band and obviously being yourself, other than singing with other people. Does it get heated at times? Is there kind of, you have to do things that you wouldn't do as a solo artist? And kind of talk about your days as being in the band briefly.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? We never really had any kind of barneys or anything like that. We was quite fortunate that we were good friends and we was all right. And from the very beginning, we sat down and said, look, this is an even split. Sometimes you're going to sing a lead vocal, sometimes you're not. It just is what it is, you know, blah, blah, from the beginning. So we kind of all understood that. And we was pretty fair when it came to who was singing what parts on songs and who wrote what and whatever, because we knew it was always going to be an even split. Now, we was quite fortunate in that sense, because most people, like a lot of bands, they don't do that. They're very precious about parts they're singing and how much of the song they wrote, and if they wrote the hook, if they come up with a name of this. I ain't got time for all that. I just think, look, if you're inside together, you're in it together. So just split it. It's equal, man. You're all working as hard as each other. But the only thing that used to be, the only negative was people's punctuality. People just turning up on time and just getting to places. When you're waiting for 4 or 5 people all to turn up, and you got a rehearsal, or you got to be at studio for this time, or you've got a gig and you've got to get to Newcastle or Edinburgh, and you need to leave at this time, you can't afford to be late. And one of the boys, Mark, I love him dearly, but he's the latest geezer I've ever met in my life. We literally, I lost count the amount of times I'd have to go to his house. We'd be in the space cruiser and we'd banging on his door, phoning his phone, trying to locate him. Sometimes he wasn't even in. He's at some girl's house and we're trying to find out where he was. He was a nightmare. he was the worst. But I mean, we laugh about it now, but at the time it was stress. But that was worse, really. And the other thing as well is, when you're unknown and you're doing that circuit like you did in those days in late 90s, early 2000s, you ain't making no money. You're lucky if you're paying for your petrol and stuff, you know, like, so it's a big commitment. It is. There was no social media then. There was no YouTube. You know, there was nothing you couldn't kind of blow yourself up online then. It was, the old school was the real way, you know, like gigging around, leaving flyers and whatnot. It was different then, much different.
I guess the final question before we let you shoot off to your mums and I imagine have a lovely roast dinner is, do you feel that if you was born 20 years later and you was doing your same progression now than you did then, you'd become a lot more famous purely because of the social media and YouTube side of things?
Obviously, yeah, social media helps, but to be honest with you, I was never really in it to be famous. I don't know if I even like the idea of being famous. I just wanted to work in music because I just love making music and performing. I think the fame thing is a byproduct of that. If your music's good and your talent's good, then people recognize you. But some people are in it just because they want to be recognized. They might have a tiny bit of talent. They just want to be famous. And these days, because of social media, there are people out there with zero talent and they are famous.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's loads of them out there. They ain't got nothing about them really, just a bit of personality, or they're featured on a reality show, and they're super famous and they made a career from it. And a lot of it is down to social media. So yeah. I mean, time-wise, would I like to change the time? No, I don't. I loved every bit of what I've done since I did it. My dad got me into it, and God bless my dad. He passed away in December. He actually bought me a lot of this studio setup and stuff, and he was the manager of the band when I was in that group when I first started, and he drove us everywhere. My dad loved music. Yeah, he took us everywhere. Yeah, he was a manager, a stylist, a driver. He was everything. He arranged everything for us. So now, when I think obviously of my dad, I've got all those memories of course. Excuse me, of what he committed to not just me, but to the boys of the group and we was in, and for all the years. He was my biggest fan, my dad.
Well, we'll speak about your dad more and with your involvement in other avenues of your life on the next episode. Obviously, like we said, we are cut for time. So this has been the Talking Life on Jake Murphy Media's YouTube channel. It's been episode 7 with Jay Harvey. And this has been a music edition. Make sure you tune into the next episode that we record, because you're a lot more involved in fitness and football than people may think. But until next time, goodbye, guys. Take care. Please like, share, and subscribe. Stay safe. And hopefully by the time you watch this over the next few days, Boris has actually given some good news about these lockdowns. Fingers crossed. Until next time, take care and goodbye.
Cheers. Nice one.